Hello everyone! Welcome back to our fantastic Bible verse vlog series, where we delve into the book of Psalms, focusing on chapters 38 to 50, encompassing verses 1 to 20. Let's get started. These psalm chapters provide a remarkable array of biblical songs that narrate the human experience in all its aspects, the highs and lows, the struggles and emotions linked to those challenges. It's a remarkable testament to the resilience and strength of the human spirit. In these chapters, David, the author, recounts his personal battle with guilt, physical pain, and emotional suffering resulting from his heinous sins. He openly shares his feelings of isolation and being abandoned by his friends and neighbors, as well as his intense fear of his adversaries. Key themes and meanings: repentance and guilt. David sincerely expresses his extreme remorse and suffering due to his criminal actions, asking God to withhold judgment, recognize his guilt, and acknowledge the physical and emotional turmoil he endures as a result of his sins. He shares feelings of loneliness and a sense of being abandoned, as well as the fear of facing his enemies. Key themes and meanings: repentance and guilt. David recognizes his heinous sins and pleads with God to spare him from the wrath of God, acknowledging the weight of his transgressions and the suffering he causes. Physical and emotional suffering. He describes his body as suffering and feeling like arrows are piercing it, mentioning the pain inflicted by God on him. Experiencing isolation and abandonment. David expresses the feeling of being abandoned by friends and neighbors due to his painful circumstances, illustrating the consequences of doing evil. Living in fear and suspense. He describes the enemies rejoicing over his suffering, emphasizing the risks that come along with being targeted for one's actions, hope and prayer. Despite all his suffering, David remains hopeful in the goodness of God, pleading for him to hear his prayers and save him from his current situation. God's compassion and mercy. The psalm ultimately highlights God's ability to provide healing, forgiveness, and restoration for those who turn to him in their willingness to change and grow. Key verses to remind. Verses 1 to 10. David expresses his deep regret and suffering, acknowledging the impact of his actions on others. Verse 11 to 16. David narrates his isolation and the malicious actions of his enemies, while reflecting on his silence and his plea for God's support. Verse 17 to 20. David describes his confession of his sins, fearing the danger that he poses, and his hope for God's intervention. Conclusion. Psalm 38 to 50 is a profound expression of regret, suffering, and resilience. It showcases the understanding of the consequences of sin, the weight of one's transgressions, and the necessity for God's grace and mercy. We hope you enjoyed this vlog, and please give it a thumbs up for future ones. Lastly, take care and be blessed.